person to act in an irrational manner. Criminally negligent homicide is criminal conduct in which you neglect the duty placed upon you by law and it results in death. Acting negligent with a weapon or acting careless in its handling could impose criminal responsibility upon you. Reckless homicide is taking a life of another person by a conduct that any reasonable proven person would know was likely to result in the death of another person. Not within the homicide statutes, but still a serious felony charge is aggravated assault. Aggravated assault is intentionally knowing or recklessly causing a serious bodily injury to another. Also, intentionally knowing or recklessly causing another to reasonably fear imminent bodily injury by display of a deadly weapon. Examples of this would be to hit someone while holding a weapon in one hand, or hit someone with that weapon, or shooting someone and not killing them, or simply threatening someone while displaying a weapon. You could be held liable for aggravated assault.
Even with a permit, you may not carry your handgun in some places. In addition to criminal charges that you may face, if you use a weapon, you also will need to understand there are criminal charges that can be placed against you for carrying the weapon in the wrong place. It's your responsibility as a permit holder to know the law and to keep up with the changes to the law.
Presently, there are still places you cannot carry your handgun, even if you are a permit holder. And they are as follows: a judicial proceeding or courthouses, even though they are not posted. This would be a Class E felony. It is an offense for any person to possess or carry, whether openly or if you conceal it, any firearm not used solely for instructional or school-sanctioned ceremonial purposes in any public or private school building or bus, on any public or private school campus, grounds, recreation area, athletic field, or any other property owned, used, or operated by any board of education, school, college, or university board of trustees, regent, or director for the administration of any public or private educational institution. It is not an offense under this subsection for a non-student adult to possess a firearm if the firearm is contained within a private vehicle operated by the adult and is not handled by the adult or any other person acting with the express or implied consent of the adult while the vehicle is on school property.
An individual corporation, business entity, or local, state, or federal government entity, or agent thereof, is authorized to prohibit the possession of weapons by any person otherwise authorized at meetings conducted by or property owned, operated, or managed under the control of the individual corporation, business entity, or government entity. Notice of the prohibition shall be posted. Posted notices shall be displayed in prominent locations, including all entrances primarily used by the persons entering the building. If the possession of the weapon is also prohibited on the premises as well as within the confines of a building located on the property, a notice shall be posted at all entrances to the premises that are primarily used by persons entering the property. The notice shall be in English, but the notice may also be posted in any language used by patrons, customers, or persons who frequent the place where weapon possession is prohibited. In addition to the sign, notice may also include the international circle and slash symbolizing the prohibition of the item within the circle.
If you are involved in a shooting, remember the acronym CAPS, C-A-P-S. Call the police. As soon as you've been involved in a shooting where you've had to exercise your rights to self-defense, the first thing you want to do is notify the authorities. You're not guilty of anything. Call them, make it clear that you want them to come. Assist the injured. Make sure that the emergency personnel that you contact have medical personnel on the way. Basic first aid should be performed on yourself and others. Place the weapon in a secure location. Do not have it in your hands when the police arrive. Police are trained to react to the sight of a weapon, and they will. If they come with shooting, that might be all the information they have. And they see you standing there with a gun, and you could get shot. Secure the scene. Don't allow for alteration or removal of any evidence. There have been cases in shootings where bystanders have stolen weapons or stolen other items of evidence that are essential for the police in reconstructing the crime scene.
Law enforcement stop and detain. Hand the permit to the officer when you hand in your license. Let the officer know that you are armed and where your weapon is. Do this verbally. Make sure that you do not reach or attempt to show the gun to the officer. Remember, officers will more than likely not know you. Through their training, they will react to sudden and quick moves because that will put them in fear for their lives. So when you reach for your permit and your license, do it slowly, deliberately, and calmly. Don't make any quick sudden moves like leaning over the glove compartment because the officers will react to sudden moves. Remember that officers are trained to react to the sight of a gun, and they will. When they see one, they will pull their gun more than likely. Understand and know this is not an overreaction. That's what they're trained to do. By letting the officer know up front that you have a valid handgun carry permit and advising the officer where the gun is, then the officer will likely know that you are an upstanding citizen that does not have a criminal background, and the encounter will be easier on all involved. The officer may temporarily disarm you during the conduct of lawful law enforcement activity.
The following are reasons for denial of a permit. The applicant does not meet requirements in Tennessee Code annotated. The applicant did not provide fingerprints as required under Tennessee Code annotated. The applicant did not provide proof of completion of handgun safety school or valid exemption. The following are reasons for suspensions and revocations. If you have been arrested and charged with burglary, felony drug offense, or felony offense involving violence or use of a firearm, you will be suspended until final disposition of the charge. If you have been arrested and charged with any other felony, the holder has a right to a hearing before court, having first jurisdiction before suspension. If you have been arrested and charged with domestic violence, stalking, DUI, second offense, if you are prohibited from purchasing or possessing a firearm under federal or state law, if you have been convicted of a felony, if you have been convicted of any Class A misdemeanor and under court jurisdiction presently. Federal and state law prohibits possession of a weapon or permit by someone convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. Domestic violence is defined as a crime of violence against a person within a defined domestic relationship. It does not have to be charged or convicted of domestic assault. You can be convicted of assault, and the victim can be the spouse, significant other, or child offender. If your rights have been restored, there are still convictions which are exempted, which will prevent you from obtaining a handgun permit. They include burglary, felony offense involving violence or use of a firearm, felony drug offense involving a Schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 controlled substance, felony drug offense involving a Schedule 6 substance if that conviction is within 10 years of application or renewal of a permit. Federal law on possession of a firearm may prohibit a person with a restoration from obtaining a handgun or a permit. Tennessee has reciprocity agreements with other states concerning your handgun carry permit responsibilities. However, it's your responsibility as a permit holder to contact any state that you will be traveling through to verify that they will honor your carry permit and what the laws are in each state that you will be traveling through.
Americans enjoy a right that citizens of many other countries do not, the right to own firearms. But with this right comes responsibilities. It is the gun owner's responsibility to store, operate, firearms safely. It is the gun owner's responsibility to ensure that unauthorized or untrained individuals cannot gain access to his or her firearms. It is the gun owner's responsibility to learn and obey all applicable laws that pertain to the purchase, possession, and the use of firearms in his or her locale. Guns are neither safe nor unsafe by themselves. When gun owners learn and practice responsible gun ownership, guns are safe. A permit to carry a handgun is not a license to use deadly force. With a permit to carry